It's not an image of Aung San Suu Kyi that anyone would have created a few years ago. But now, refugees in Australia blame her for the persecution of the Rohingya in Myanmar. They are disgusted that Australia's government has welcomed her to Sydney.
The Australian government shouldn't invite her here unless she indicates to solve the problems, the genocidal problem in her own country.
While Aung San Suu Kyi is in Australia with other leaders for the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN summit, 5 lawyers are trying to get her prosecuted.
We have lodged a private prosecution application in the Magistrates Court of Victoria, accusing Aung San Suu Kyi of crimes against humanity, specifically the crime of deportation and forcible transfer of people.
Australia's Attorney-General says by international convention, heads of government and ministers of foreign affairs have immunity from prosecution. But the human rights lawyers say that immunity shouldn't apply. Aung San Suu Kyi is not officially the head of Myanmar's government. And lawyers say what they're accusing her of has nothing to do with her foreign affairs portfolio, so isn't covered by the immunity protocol. Others in Sydney protested the presence of Vietnam's Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc and Cambodia's leader Hun Sen, who has been accused of crushing the opposition and violating human rights.
There's not a strong, unambiguous message from the Australian government about Hun Sen's crackdown in Cambodia. I think it's a big mistake for the government just to completely gloss over those issues or just deal with them quietly on the fringes. These should be front and centre of a summit like this.
Police are not allowing protests right outside the convention centre where the ASEAN talks are happening, but these protesters did get close.
The ASEAN leaders will be able to hear these protests where they're meeting, but it's unlikely they'll be talking about them too much. For them, the focus is on trade and security.
Australia's Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull says he'll raise the Rohingya crisis with Aung San Suu Kyi, but his main focus on Saturday was combating terrorism and how to pursue free trade opportunities in the face of protectionism.
Together we can seize those opportunities. But to do so, governments and business must remain committed to the rules-based order and be fierce advocates and persuasive advocates, above all, for free and open trade.
The ASEAN summit runs on both Saturday and Sunday. The protests are expected to as well. Andrew Thomas, Al Jazeera, Sydney.